Okay, so once again, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. Welcome to another session of Azure Power Lunch. As you know, this we record our sessions and we place our recordings in our YouTube channel. So if you don't want to be recorded, it's a good time to drop off now. So with that, our topic of discussion today is Azure App Configuration. Okay, um, updates. We discussed this topic a couple of years back. So there are some new enhancements, some update to the feature. So that's why I decided to talk about it in this session. And as we always do, we are going to do a quick overview of the topic itself, look at the new updates, and most of this time we will spend in the demo. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to open mic and ask question or post in the chat window. And if one of the audience team member can please read those questions, and since I cannot see the chat window. So with that, um, what is Azure App Configuration? It's a platform as a service that is that provides centralized configuration for your application. Okay, and when we talk about in the cloud, and this is some of the um, kind of a key thing to note here that configuration management, different services, application do it their own way. For example, Azure App Service has its own way of managing configuration. If you're doing an AKS, there are different ways of doing it. Let's say if you're doing a Java application, it will have its own ways of doing it. And if you are running a batch process or some service in a VM, there is a different way of doing configuration. What this allows you to do is has have a centralized store to keep your configuration and separate configuration from your code. So a team that can manage configuration, that can update the secrets and all that, and developers then they can continue to work on their application. They just know that how to access this configuration at the runtime. Okay, so here is traditionally how it looks. You are in cloud, different application, different configuration stores, and let's say if you are have a application that consists of multiple components and you want to move on to the next version, provide an update. How do you do it? You have to update all these stores. And here is how it looks with Azure App configuration. Like you have a single store, every application is accessing that information for there. So from there. So this is kind of a high level summary of features. I'm not going to read the slide. You can take a look at it. But some of the key things here is the ability to have provide a single store for your configuration, having client libraries, so different type of application, different languages like C Sharp, Python, Node.js, especially Java, can access that configuration and allows you to able to access this information through managed identities. And one key thing is secrets are still stored in if key vault. So if you have some sensitive data that you still want to store in key vault, yeah, you can do it. But it provides you the capability of accessing it through the key vault, so that it doesn't take away that capability from you. And of course, there's a UI to maintain all this information. Okay. And this is a summary of the libraries that are available to access. And if there is nothing available, you can always use the REST APIs to access this information. So, you know, that is there. And finally, this is a high-level reference architecture just to create a mental picture in mind. So let's say that you have an application that needs to access configuration from Azure App Config. It has some data in the app config, some in the key vault where the key vault reference is there in app config. So what happens is first it uses the managed identity, and managed identity gets it through managed identity, it gets a token from Azure AD. Then it makes the call through managed identity to the Azure App Configuration. It validates the token, gives back um, the configuration value, and let's say that that configuration value has a um, um, key vault secret URL. Okay, so what it does is that's where language library comes into action, and it basically has the ability to go to the key vault and through its managed identity, and you have set up, given that you have set up the access policy to get the data from the key vault, the what we call the value from the key vault, and that's how it does it. But it's all done through that library, through that app configuration, and you don't have to do like a multiple steps. It's all kind of abstracted out from the end code. They're just accessing this value as it is coming directly from app config. Okay, any questions? Okay, so let's see what are some of the features. The first one that I want to talk about is dynamic configuration management. So we talk about configuration management. Yes, configuration management is there. It's stored in the app config, centralized, all that. But let's say you make some updates to it, how your application knows about it. Okay, that's very important because there are ways, I mean, you can constantly ask it to get the information, but let's say that there is some network latency that can impact your application performance if that's not desirable. So there are two methods that are available to do that, to kind of accomplish that. Okay, first one is polling method. In this one, your whatever the client library, C sharp, Python, or whatever, it sets a cache policy on the configuration. So was first time it downloaded it, it sets the cache policy. After the cache policy expire, it goes back to the configuration management, checks, hey, do you have an update for me? If nothing is updated, it will come back. If there is some update, it will refresh it. So that's how it does. Okay, so this is kind of a polling method, and the thread is not called through the main code, so it does not impact your performance. It's a background thread that does that. Okay. Second part is the push method. In that case, changes are pushed to your app, and that is available for .NET Core at this moment and Java Spring. And what happens is this takes advantage of eventing. So Azure App Configuration sends out event. What you do is you set up your service bus based event handler, you set up a subscription, and then your app listens to it. And once again, that's where the client library comes into picture. You don't have to read the message, parse it, and find out what changed. Basically, what this library listens to those events, and based on that, it updates its configuration. Okay, so basically in that case, as you make change, configuration changes. On the other hand, the polling method, you set the cache, and that's what decides when it's going to go back and check for the configuration change. Any questions? Okay, doke. So let's take a quick demo. So first of all, I'm going to show you a web app. This is in VS Code. And please, if you are not a .NET developer or C Sharp developer, I just want to kind of show you, just think of it as a pseudocode. In that, you are basically laying down the foundation of like how you will access it. So you provide the connection string, and I'm using managed identity, so you don't see any credentials in the code, and that's it. And I'm saying this is the setting that I need to get. And let me go into Azure App Config. This is my app config. Let me increase the font size a little bit more. Hopefully everybody can see it. So this is app config UI. The key feature part is configuration explorer. Okay, we go in here and that's where I have defined setting. And the best practice is to define settings in a way where you have app, you have class of settings that can be a sub app or microservice, and then the setting itself. Okay, and it allows you to query the settings based on, so basically you can get the setting for your own microservice or uh, the entire app and things like that. Okay, and you will see the last one has a keyword marker on it because this one is actually a keyword reference. Okay, so this one is a keyword reference. So this is coming. Yeah, it's kind of not showing me that value, but this is coming from keyword. Okay, so that's that. Uh, the rest of the stuff is basically just the values that I store. Okay, and that's it. So now I have this value set up. I have this web app running. I'll just look at this web app. It's saying live updates 2. Let's keep refreshing. Yes, it's saying live updates 2. Okay, that's good. So now let's go in and make a configuration change here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and change the message to live updates on Friday. Okay, so that's that. I have updated it. And then I have a Sentinel key. So basically, I will explain the Sentinel key in a minute. This key is kind of a marker that it allows you to, it's a special key, and it tells you that the configuration has changed. So let's say you're making a lot of configuration changes. Instead of bombarding the app with all those updates, once you change the Sentinel value, any from anytime it changes, then it will pick it up. So once that is changed, now it has picked it up. Let's go to the page. It says live updates, and let's keep refreshing. Look, it has changed. Okay, so that's the, but just keep in mind, this will not change if I don't make any update. I mean, if I don't use the app. So if your page is static, this update, I mean, it will, that value will, the configuration will not change. It will only change when your app is kind of, when app requests the configuration setting, then the client library comes into action and it checks, okay, yeah, it has, the configuration has expired and I need to get it. Okay. So just keep that in mind. So that's the key thing to remember in the app config with this polling. Okay, so it's kind of a, that's how it refreshes it. Um, any questions on that? Okay, so now let's take a look at another application where we are doing the push update. So first of all, let me show you another app configuration. This is another app configuration, and what I have done here is I have set up an event subscription. As you know, and this is regardless of app config, a number of Azure services now allow you to listen to the different events, like what they're doing. They want you to listen to those events and do something to take actions on it. You may see in app configuration, you may see in other services as well. So this is another event. I have kind of a event another app that supports event handling, and I have created an event subscription on top of it. Okay, so this is the event subscription. As you can see here, the endpoint is a service bus topic where I am sending this event. Okay, and hopefully I have the service bus here. Yes, this is the service bus. I have created a subscription and a topic, and everything is there. So that's that. So basically, what I have done is I said, okay, Service bus, you listen listen to the um, you listen to the event. As soon as event comes in, you know, kind of send it to the subscription, and anybody who is listening to the subscription can get that event. And now I'm going to take you to my application and look at. So this is a console application. Look, worked in in .NET Core. By the way, this type of event handling is only supported in at this moment .NET Core and Java Spring. Okay, so this is a .NET Core application. As you can see, I'm getting the information from console application. I'm getting the information from environment variables, and what it is doing. The library behind the scene is kind of has built-in plumbing to get the events from the event handler, process those events, and get refresh the configuration. Okay, so this is kind of how you push, you tell the app, hey, I have been updated, and then app pulls the configuration to get the latest configuration. Okay, so let's see how it works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a .NET run. So this is the app that is running, and what it's going to do is it's going to show you the initial value. So this is coming from the initial value. So let's update that value. And please feel free to ask if there are any questions. Okay, so here we go. I am in the app configuration. I'm going to configuration. And this is a different instance of app configuration. Okay, I go in here and I say, I call it Friday. With that, I am going to save it. Since I have saved this value, let's come here. Look, a message has just been arrived. So think of it. An event raised, it went into the topic. From that, it went to subscription, then it's picked up, and now it's gonna go in and look, new value. Welcome to Azure Power Lunch Console demo, and this is Friday update. So you see, I mean, I know it's not kind of a demo is not earth-shattering, but look at the way you are doing updates and you're kind of updating configuration, regardless of what type of app, kind of what language that app is written. Okay, so just keep in mind that at this moment, this push type update is only limited to .NET Core, at least what I have seen so far, and Java Spring. But the dynamic configuration is supported in all kind of a number of languages. Of course, you can use APIs as well, REST APIs. Okay, so that's that. Okay, now let's quickly go back to the slide deck and go into the next thing, which is feature management. What is feature management? So feature management allows you. It's kind of a way to show certain features, enable, disable certain features. Okay. So for example, let's say that your app, you are working on a new page in your app or new screen, and you only want to show screen in certain scenario, you put a flag there. When that flag is on, that page is visible. When that flag is not there, that page is gone. Or you want to show only 50% of the audience or certain percentage of the audience that particular page, or you want to show certain people or user that page. So all of these things, and one of the key thing is you can create your own custom feature. Okay, so that support is there. So you can use uh, the once again language library to create your custom feature. And what that means is that feature can do things that you want to do. You may want to check for certain things and then enable that feature. So that's all of that is in your control, and you control it once again from the app configuration. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so we come in here and I'm going to go into the previous instance. So this is there. This is the feature manager. I have a feature called beta. Okay. And this feature, let me just hide this. This feature looks like this. I'm going to go into the edit mode. I have enabled the feature flag. And once that feature flag is enabled, what happens is that it will show a certain page. So this is my app. As you can see, that beta page is visible. So since I have enabled this feature, you can see that page. But I want to show you something else here. I have I'm using a feature filter. I'm using a custom filter called Microsoft.percentage. And what that does is it it basically shows this when this whatever you are enabling with this feature flag only certain percentage of time, and you can set that percentage here. I'm saying do 50-50. 50% time show this, 50% of the time. So think of it, 50% of the audience basically see that feature. Okay. So that's the purpose of that feature. And let me just briefly show you, think of it as pseudocode. So once again, I am enabling this feature here. This is percentage filter feature here. And then I am going into my page. And this is the same thing you will do in Java or whatever language you are. You have to go in there and you have to, in that code, I am basically saying this is the feature gate. So in each language library, there would be something to enable or disable that kind of a capability through this feature gate. So feature gate, this is a language capability in C Sharp. It will be different in Java, but think of it. There will be a feature gate capability that allows you to show or hide that feature. Okay. I hope everybody is with me so far. So with that, so there are two things. Number one, we are enabling or disabling this page. Number two, what we are doing is we are um, uh, kind of showing it only to the 50% of the audience. So as you can see here, this page is visible. Everybody can see it. This is the beta page. This is the beta website. Okay. But now it's only visible on 50% of the fetches. Okay. Just keep in mind, it's not 50% of the user, it's 50% of the time you access this site. Okay, so let's refresh it. Okay, sorry, my bad. Let's go back here. You see, the page is gone. If I refresh it again, the page is back, gone. So you see, it's 50% of the time. It's not exactly once or twice. I mean, it will be overall, it will be 50% of the time. Okay, so think of it. Everything is controlled through the configuration. You can enable, disable feature, uh, similar to Launch Darkly. I'm not sure you heard that product that provides a similar thing where you can turn off, turn on features and you control that from a single point. So instead of like putting these things in your configuration, in your code, hey, turn it off, redeploy the code, you can have a central location now where you can go in and turn it off and turn it on. Okay. If I want to turn this feature off, I can go in and I can turn that feature off, and then this menu will not show up again at all. Okay. The beta menu. Okay. So that's that. Um, we have 4 minutes, and I want to show one more important feature, but just like quickly take a look at the slide deck, and that is geo-replication. This is currently in preview. And just keep in mind, so let's say that you have applications that are spanning the globe. If they're all accessing same app configuration, that latency, you have a single point of failure and things like that. This is a great feature to a resiliency. You can have geo-replication. You can deploy multiple instances where you have a central replica and all these instances are reading from that replica. But just keep in mind, it is an active geo-replication. So let's say that you have apps in South Central and in North Central. Okay. What you can do is you can have two instances, one in South Central, one in North Central, and basically one will be the main replica, other would be secondary, and they will each be, and you can make updates to both. So let's say you update, somehow change configuration in one, the other one will be able to read that configuration. Uh, so basically, they will continuously sync that information. So they will, those configuration will stay in sync. Okay, and and you can point your application to one or the other. And the language library do support that, where if you have, kind of one of the replica is down, it will start sending requests to the other one. Okay, so we have 2 more minutes. Any questions? So that's, and by the way, just keep in mind there's a standard tier and there is a free tier. It's not available in free tier. It's only available in standard tier. And let me show you that. I have it in here. If I go in here in this, I have set up Geo-Replication, and this is what it is. As you can see here, Geo-Replication is set up. I have a original origin in South Central, and my replica is in Central US. Okay, so very simple. I mean, as you can see, everything, out of your code sitting inside a PaaS service, which you can access through the UI, and kind of separate your configuration management from your code or from your application, and that's that. So any questions, comments, feedback? Okay, so folks, once again, thank you very much, and I hope you find the content useful. We will upload the slide deck and the presentation and the video to our YouTube channel, and hope to see everybody next week. Thank you very much for joining.